Here we are at a Falcon 9 launch. But first, how did we get here?
It's the middle of April. We're in Florida. It's not as warm as it is in Massachusetts, and it's raining.
Well, actually, it's not so true. I want to start at the beginning. The beginning of this story begins at just around midnight, Thursday into Friday, when I couldn't sleep because we were scheduled to leave on a train. No, maybe it's Friday and a Saturday. Let's get that right. We were scheduled to leave on a train Saturday morning to make it to Florida for Sunday morning, and a launch on the 20th of a Falcon Heavy. Throw that into the mix that the FAA finally decided to make up its mind and grant Elon Musk a launch license, which all happened on Friday, the day before our departure. Being the curious mind that I am, I took a look around and discovered that our Falcon Heavy launch that we were coming to Florida to see was postponed for another week. Now, all of you out there that have been graciously dealing with my rescheduling of things would probably kill me if I rescheduled again. And besides the fact that both Ken and I had obligations the week of the 24th that we really couldn't get out of. So, while Ken was sleeping, I made the decision to come to Florida, but also to book a flight to Texas for Sunday evening and fly to Houston, which would mean a 6-hour drive from Houston to South Padre Island. On South Padre Island, that's where Starship and Super Heavy are. And as you can tell, mid-Florida is giving us its usual spring weather. We're in the middle of a nice little thunderstorm here.
It's mid-afternoon temper tantrum, if you're familiar with Florida.
Yes. Come to Disney, it'll rain for 20 minutes, then it'll be over. So I rebooked flights and a car to get us to Houston because our original options of Corpus Christi and McAllen Airport were no longer available because as soon as the launch license was issued, well, that was that. Let's pick that up in a minute. I gotta drive.
This is just insane.
And the lightning is right over us.
And that car, if you can actually see it, it's only about 20 feet in front of us.
Yeah, visibility is very low right now.
So right before Hurricane Western Massachusetts came down on Florida, Central Florida that is, you were talking about how you
discovered that our launch here in Florida, the Falcon Heavy, was delayed by a week. So our next option is the other rocket we really wanted to see but didn't think we had a shot in heck to get, which is the Starship Super Heavy combination in Texas. So I started looking at flights to see what we could find because everything we had found on Twitter suggested that the flight was going to be on the later on in the week, maybe 20th or 21st. So we had booked our flights to say, well, we'll give it a shot for the 20th and that'd be it. Okay, so now I'm just after midnight. I'm scheduled to leave Saturday morning at 3 a.m. and I'm looking for flights because now this is just annoying me to no end. So I find a flight to Houston direct from Orlando, which is about an hour from where we're staying. Book the flight, book the car, send a message to Ken saying, hey, book the flight, I got the car, I'll find a hotel. Now I can't sleep. So I find a hotel in South Padre Island, Texas that is like a family cottage, which is where we're going to stay. So the original plan was to try to fly in and fly out and make the Super Heavy. Well, that all got scuttled. So now the new plan is, and we're on our route to do it right now, is we just got in this morning to Florida. got off the train at 10, had lunch at 11, made it to our hotel for a couple hours, and now we're back heading to Orlando Airport to hop a flight to Boca Chica, to hop a flight to Houston, get in a car at around 10 o'clock tonight, drive overnight from Houston to South Padre Island, which is a 6-hour drive, which is what I just did yesterday, and try to catch this rocket. We'll get there with a couple hours to spare. But instead of coming right back and completely killing ourselves, the current plan is to stay overnight in Texas and then catch a late flight back on Tuesday. Then have one day in Florida just to completely decompress, which is now going to be sorely needed, and potentially catch one more rocket launch here at 8:30 in the morning, which should be a nice bonus. I'm not going to put any effort into shooting it. Maybe I'll set up a single camera and just record a wide shot. But in the meantime, we decided to keep you guys up to date as to how this adventure is going to go. So we're bringing the GoPro with us on the plane, and we'll be shooting some on the plane as well, and kind of documenting this the best way we know how, by video. So we'll see you at MCO.
What you doing there, Peter?
Talking to somebody on the phone.
Submitted for your approval, the road that goes to Starbase.
So we're about 20 minutes away from the launch here in Boca Chica, Texas. We're on South Padre Island, about halfway down the island. It's a barrier island, separated from the mainland by a causeway. We don't have direct access for the launch, so we're going to start rolling when we assume T0 is, and literally wait for something to pop up behind the buildings. We have a good idea about where it's going to pop up, and then we might have a better shot than most people tracking it as it heads off into the upper atmosphere, because we have a clear view of sky as far as I can see to the west of us, which the path of the rocket is going to take it between Key West and Cuba in the Straits of Cuba or Straits of Florida, whichever way you want to call it. And then from there it'll head around the world through 3/4 of an orbit, and Starship itself will splash down in Hawaii. We may see, because it's so massive, we may see the super heavy booster land out in the Gulf, and we may actually catch that from here. So it's a crapshoot, but we do have a wide open view of the sky from here. So we'll give it a shot and see what we can find out.
Live shot here of SpaceX's Starbase in Texas, where Elon Musk's company has just scrubbed the launch of its Starship rocket. Let's bring in Morgan Brennan at HQ, talk about what pressure and valves are. Morning, Morgan.
Hi, Carl. That's right. So the highly anticipated, highly awaited first orbital test flight of SpaceX's Starship has been scrubbed for today. So all the folks that are tuning in, all of the investors that have been waiting for this moment, will have to wait a little bit longer. You'll notice that the countdown clock, or I don't know if it's up on the screen, but the countdown clock's still going. The reason is because even though the launch itself has been scrubbed for today, they are continuing with a wet dress rehearsal, meaning that they are continuing to fuel this mega rocket system right now, basically in a run to see how that process goes. But you're not going to see fire. This is not going to get off the launch pad in Starbase, Texas today. After all, this has been so closely watched, Carl, because when Elon Musk talks about colonizing Mars, this is the mega system that is poised to do that. It's also contracted with NASA to the tune of a $3 billion contract to land Americans and astronauts back on the surface of the moon. And whenever it does get off the ground, it will make history because it will be the most powerful rocket to ever fly in human history, period.
Tension breaker had to be done.
Anybody else?
And that brings us back to Florida, where we are parked on the side of the causeway. Let's watch Peter's footage of the Falcon 9 launch.
Ignition.